Finally, we've made it happen. My man.
True story.
True story indeed. We tried to schedule this a couple of times, and scheduling and a few other things, it wouldn't work out. But true to your word, in the rain, in Sydney's rain, it's supposed to be summer, Jeffrey.
Have a look at it.
And you're a busy man.
Busy man, but a mission man, I say.
You're a
I'll
man on a
probably say
mission.
that. And that's, the journey to leave behind a legacy and foundation so the world's a better place.
That's right.
That's probably the simplest form I could put it in for yourself.
And your mission actually resonates with the Chronicles of Faith. Whether it's our lifestyle content, specifically culture content. We may have different backgrounds, but we have a shared culture.
Love that.
The Camalees.
Yes.
They came here a long time ago. And
true story, this.
Yeah, true story. And it's not spoken about much.
Yeah.
Other than them building the train line in the middle of Australia. And they were Afghanistan Muslim people, and they treated the Aboriginal people at the time with respect.
Absolutely.
With sympathy, with empathy. And the Aboriginal people embraced them, and they helped them build the first mosque, I think, in Perth.
Yes. If anyone doesn't know that story, have a look at it, and it's a great story.
It is,
and I'm impressed that you know it.
Oh, of course. When we came to this country, my parents in the 80s, my grandfather came in the 70s.
Wow.
Yeah, a long time ago. So we were taught from a young age the culture, our cultural identity, and how we embraced within this country.
Love that.
And then we dug up more, and then we had some elders who actually visited that mosque in Perth. And then and it turned out the Aboriginal people actually helped them, and they collaborated peacefully. And that's what unites you and I today.
I think that's the biggest thing, and you mentioned one of the things in amongst that, identity.
Identity, yeah.
And for me as a young kid, I lacked identity. My parents, I felt, didn't love me. They were going through their own little journey of life, and unfortunately that reflected onto me, and then I went out to the world, and I lacked that identity. Therefore, I sought validation from other people within that realm that I practice every single day. And just like a mosque for yourself, when you walk in, what is your identity and what are you connecting with? And it's something I've committed to over the next year, to learn a lot about each religion.
I'm happy to have that discussion with you in regards to Islam and learning more about Islam.
And it's beautiful. We should embrace the world. We unfortunately block off a lot of things and say these people or those types of people or whatever it is that
we all want peace.
Who doesn't want?
Who doesn't want? It's a human thing, peace.
Just even the way you said it, who wants to be in an environment where someone's screaming or loud music? I jump in your car and I turn the music up full ball all day, every day, and that becomes your life because of the stress, the heartache, the pain, the suffering it causes. No one truly wants that. And if we do, why does that person want that? They maybe want the attention, or they want the validation because they never got it where they grew up as an example, the value within themselves. But what we'll do as a society is then judge that person rather than actually help that person. Yeah, you're down there, let me pull you up and lift you up and show you a better way to life.
You're a man that's on a mission to helping people all around the world.
Absolutely.
You were in Dubai recently, then we were supposed to do a pod, then all of a sudden you're in New Zealand and Turkey, and I've followed you since I've began this journey. You actually commented on one of the posts which talks about your humility. So even though I was early into my journey, you seen something that resonated with you, and as soon as you commented, it made me want to aspire to have you on the Chronicles of Faith Season 1.
Mate, I appreciate you having me on here. Everything's an opportunity, and we're always blessed to be in the space of other people where you can learn and grow. Whether it's about Islam or whether it's about people say, oh, these types of people, about Aboriginal people, Muslim people, or whatever it may be. Have you ever sat with one of those people? And they're like, no, I haven't, but I know about them. And I'm like, oh, you really know? Sit down. And we might be sitting on first class or business class because I got to that point. And then they tell me about Aboriginal people, and I said, I'm an Aboriginal person.
Oh, wow. And
And they're like, oh, I didn't mean it like that. And what I meant was, and I'm like, isn't it funny how we change and shift our behaviour? So I'll ask them, why do you do that? What is it something that you've been taught that you then have what's called unconscious bias towards Aboriginal people or Muslim people. They're going to do this, they're going to be that.
And stereotypes as well.
But if you just sit down with the people and you said, all right, here's my boundaries, I've built myself, and this is the advice to everybody, build yourself well, have boundaries, have respect, what's values, what's morals, what's discipline, what's the principles of your life, then you invite people into a higher performer life. That's it. It's just respect. And on the back end of all that conversation, and that's a beautiful environment to be in.
Absolutely. I can attest to that. And when I first had my license, you're a young kid driving around, you're excited. I had a little tiff, first few, nothing malice. And then when I put the window down and the guy next to me put the window down and I spoke to him in Arabic, not rudely, I just accidentally, I spoke Arabic. He was Aboriginal. He responded in Arabic.
Wow.
I literally wiped my eyes because I was shocked. I didn't think an Aboriginal man will respond in Arabic. If I spoke English, of course.
Yes.
And then I was so fascinated on the lights. I said, I'm so sorry. I don't mean to be rude. Look, we've both had a long day. He's like, it's fine. I told him, how do you speak Arabic? He said, I'm half Afghan.
Oh, wow.
And that allowed me more to look into that previous story.
I love that.
Yeah. So when we're talking about you being a man on a mission, I'd like to focus on something that you really promote, and it's the stages of change.
Love that.
There's a popular theorist who's actually has a principle for change, and there's pre-contemplation, contemplation.
Absolutely.
I'm sure you know them all.
Yep.
And then they go through the motions towards change, and then maintenance, and then either relapse or regression, or they continue and they go even higher. So for someone who's at the pre-contemplation phase of their life, let's say with lifestyle, health and training, how can they push themselves towards reaching the contemplation phase of the change?
A lot of people aren't conscious of what's possible. And we go through life. I'll give you the white car story. How many white cars did you see this week? I don't know, plenty, right? Yeah. But if I give you the ultimate enlightenment, inner peace, happiness, maybe it's financial freedom, travel to the locations you want, be married to the person you want, have the kids and no health issues within your family, whatever it is you choose, I say all you got to do is count how many cars you see this week. You'll buy a camera, you'll count every single one of those to make sure, let's say it was your family was okay or you were okay. So that means you go from unconscious to conscious. Most people are in just a program of life and they don't think about what they truly want. So what is your ideal life? What does it look like? If I had the magic wand, I waved it over yourself, Mustafa, what do you want out of life? And so to be in the stages of enlightenment where I'm able to not only through myself but be infectious to others around my faith, my beliefs, my values, and not push something on somebody but get somebody to say, hey, wow, if I define my beliefs, I have protection in my boundaries, and therefore I won't let somebody who's destructive towards the greatest version of my life into my life. And once you do that, enlightenment is the ability to be at a level where nothing else matters but who you are and what you project to yourself. Like, here's who I am. And that energy will be the law of attraction. It will bring someone into your space. And those that aren't meant to be in your space will be out of your space. Sometimes we think, we need to attract everybody, and why doesn't everybody like me? But we've got to understand everybody's built different, and the law of attraction will attract who's meant to be in your space. If you choose to be dysfunctional and not be conscious of that action, it means that you write it down. What's your ideal life look like? What's my happiness look like? I'll give you a quick little tip. Stacking wins. What, when, where, who, why. So you ask those questions, and then you say to yourself, what do I want to happen? Where does this happen? Who am I with? Those sorts of questions. And then you can be very intentional and directional and become a funnel towards the greatest version of yourself. And we always hear the greatest version of yourself, but what's that actually mean? How are you building yourself? And to do that, I have those values built within, whether it may be the Quran as an example. What are your values, your non-negotiables to a space? And understanding that whole conversation. And now people can have that conversation.
Very enlightening indeed. Then when we shift towards getting physically stronger and primal warriors is your forte, we have, and I read this quote that you put out on your socials, that we're in a time where most men are not real men. And we're a softer generation. where our resistance or resilience, I should say,
Yes.
is almost halved, or the threshold, the capacity is almost capped at a minimum.
Absolutely.
Compared to, for example, your generation. And even my generation, if you look just 5-6 years later, those who graduated after me from school, their resilience bars is much lower.
Absolutely. And you look at how long someone can focus for. 3 seconds. Oh, here's this great podcast with Mustafa, and he's got this person who can create whatever it is, financial freedom, happiness, inner peace, commitment to your faith, whatever it may be, but they'll just scroll. And the cat running into the wall is more interesting and intriguing to the person than what they could do to plug in value to themselves. And that's how deep that conversation of resilience is. If you can't do more than 3 seconds, how are you going to be resilient for more than 3 seconds?
But then we say social media is to blame, but then we use social media ourselves to help shape people's lives.
Your law of attraction, again, you'll bring that person in. And I say this to everybody, work hard on yourself and do what's easy in life and life will be hard. Do what's hard in life and life will be easy.
I'm sorry, you have to repeat that again.
Yeah, do what's easy in life and life will be hard. Do what's hard in life and life will be easy. So tomorrow here's our prayer times, and I say it's cold today, this bed's comfortable, I'm watching this TV show, I'll pray later, don't worry about the times. It's discipline. It's faith. It's commitment. Use these words, and then maybe connection to somebody else that's there in that space as well, and understanding that you're both on this journey, but most importantly, you're in a journey towards the greatest version of yourself. And as soon as you enable yourself by saying, I'll do it tomorrow, it's raining outside, I have to walk across to the mosque right now, or whatever it may be. Yeah. And by all means, if you can do it at home and still be have that faith to yourself, then beautiful. But if you say, I'm going to stay in bed because my partner's here and I can do it later.
But then if a Muslim person will miss the prayer, then he has to make up the missed prayer. Then he'll get even more comfortable and say, I'll make it up later. Then he's accumulated all this time. But if
you're able if you're enabling yourself there, how are you going to be faithful to your partner, to yourself, to your kids maybe, as an example? They're high levels of life, right? Because you make a commitment to your wife, stay there. Wow. And whatever it is, right, it will roll off. I'm unable to stay in this bed. It's so comfortable. Don't worry about it. Beautiful. We'll sit and watch the TV. And even how you start to talk to your partner, instead of being respectful, because that takes discipline, I just say, hey, make me some food.
Order her.
How do you order your partner? How do you nurture your people? How do you nurture your own environment? And until you do that and understand that, it is time for me to pray. The prayer time is now or coming up. I'll get there early. If you're on time, you're late. I always say that. Why do I get there early? That's integrity. I said I was going to do it. If I meet you at 9 o'clock tomorrow and I come here at 9:30, and then the next day, 9 o'clock, let's meet, I come at 9:45, 9:50, guess what's going to happen? I don't know if this bloke's ever going to show up. And it builds a distrust in that person.
Do you feel like it's a lot of self-talk as well? So, for example, let's say I promised myself this week I'm going to wake up at 5 a.m. to go to the pray and go to the gym at 5:30, for example.
And I love what you've done. You've done that.
Yeah, I've done. Yeah, you've been watching. You've been watching. Yeah, and it's just a battle of the mind and self-talk and getting that mindset right. So, how does someone actually action that thought? Let's talk about training, for example, waking up to train in the morning. It's not easy.
Absolutely.
How would you action that thought? If the viewers are watching, what would you tell them to help them reach the action phase before the maintenance phase?
There's two things. Knowledge isn't power without application. So I say knowledge isn't power without application. So people say knowledge is power. No, it's not. Because there's so much knowledge out there, you can acquire it in a heartbeat, but how many applied that action?
That's right.
So knowledge with the application towards it is power. Understanding that you just need to be a champion of being a beginner, which means when I start this journey, I know that I'm not going to be as fit as Mustafa. I don't know as much as you about religion. You've been doing it for 10 years. I'm starting today. But am I in competition with you? I just want to better myself for what is my why. So the second one today is knowledge isn't power. First one's knowledge. Second one is lived experience. The difference between knowledge and wisdom: knowledge you acquire, but you don't practice. Wisdom is you acquire the knowledge, but then you practice and you become a version that hopefully your kids, the world sees as a better place through the actions that you take. So my advice to everybody is, if you start a gym journey, do you know how to use the equipment? No, you don't. So now you're intimidated.
That's right.
And guess what you're going to do? Roadblock yourself. Oh, I want to go to the gym, but I don't know how to use the equipment.
That's right.
Well, guess what? Maybe the gym's offered you 2 personal training sessions to teach you how to use the equipment. When you get there, listen, learn, record it with your phone, whatever it may be, and then go in and do that. And when you need a new program, hey, could I invest in your program, Mustafa? Here's what I'd advise you to do. It's an investment of X amount of dollars. Not a problem, because that's an investment in your health.
That's right.
And if you've got a family, you're investing to live longer with your family. Everyone says, I die for my family. Live for your family every single day. Go out, grab the knowledge, apply the knowledge, and create wisdom. And that's how you get past overthinking. There's a little rule I use 99.9% of the time. Write out 10 experiences. Say you're starting the gym, say you're starting religion. And I think, if I walk into that mosque, I wonder if I'm going to fit in. Should I wear this? What should I wear? If I ask you, hey, I'd love to come to one of these prayers and start to learn and see what it's about. What should I bring? Do I bring a mat? Because I see people, and what's the purpose of the mat? Ask the questions.
Be inquisitive.
Because what we'll do is, I'm not going to ask that. That's stupid. But then show up. And maybe I got great intentions to be there, but be disrespectful by not taking my shoes off or something. Yeah, and it's just through sight I say, why did I do that? There must be a reason, so I need to learn it. Mustafa, what do I do in this situation when I come down? Oh, take your shoes off, bring your mat. We got mats. If you want to buy one online, X, Y, and Z. And now I show up with absolute confidence. Align yourself with the true values of what you're trying to learn. Don't go half in, go all in. Burn all the boats, and I mean that, don't burn a boat, whatever you do. It means just leave everything in your past behind. What's the first step, my brother? And here's the first step. I'll give you this gift, my brother, as a present to you. You've given me the greatest presents as a present, and I need to then grab that and not just say I'll learn it. I've learnt so much. I'm Muslim, or I practice. Did you go and pray at the right times on the days that you didn't want to do?
Yeah.
Because there's a part of your brain anterior. My brain's racking itself at the
must be the word
cingulate anterior cortex. And
the cortex part of the brain. Yeah.
And what that prefrontal cortex.
Yeah, prefrontal.
My brain's gone. I've done a few workshops today.
Yeah, that's right.
But my head's going into that part of the brain. What you're able to do is that anterior cingulate part of the brain. You're able to then actually grow that part of the brain. And by doing that, what you're doing is actually allowing yourself to do things that you don't like doing. Mike Tyson once spoke about this.
Yeah.
Anterior, my brain, why have I forgotten? Anyway, we're going to go past that. You can look that up.
That's right.
You're able to then grow that part of the brain. Now, Mike Tyson said a famous quote, and he said, doing the things that you don't like to do is where the magic happens. It's not verbatim, but it's in and amongst that. So even that quote, I usually get that down pat. I can't think of. He said, doing the things that you don't like doing, but doing them like you love doing it.
That's right.
That was the quote.
Even though you don't like doing them, you do them as if you love to do them.
Absolutely. So once you get to that level of conversation with yourself, you grow that part of the brain. And that to me is intriguing. That means that and the neuroscience has shown once you learn one new thing, so very important for everyone to understand, if the brain's like this and we don't do anything today until tomorrow, our brain stays like this. But if we learn one new thing, we grow technically a layer on that brain, and a layer and a layer and a layer. And what you're doing is activating different parts of that brain to be conscious towards what's important to yourself. And when you practice that day in, day out, now i.e., prayer, you're connected to faith, you're connected to yourself, you're connected to peace, you're connected to the values of that faith.
This reminds me of a famous quote that I'm sure you've spoken about in your seminars, and it's doing the thing is by action. Doing the thing is not by talking about the thing. It's not by writing about the thing or dreaming about the accolades once you do the thing, or by recording in your mind how the thing would look like, or by maybe writing a post on social media on what the thing is. It's by actioning it and doing the thing.
It's one step. I call it 0.1% better every day.
Yes.
And it might be just one word or one, what is Islam, and asking that question that intrigues you. And then you can say, actually, that aligns with me, and I'll go all in on that, burn the boats. I'm all in on this conversation. So once you get to that position in your life, you become a very strong version of yourself. And that strong version for yourself allows you to be committed to who you want to be. And you just don't, you know your why, and you will not stop being.
You said that before about knowing your why when it comes to lifestyle. So training and mental health and motivation. Do you feel like it starts by knowing your why?
That should be your first step in that journey, because why are you doing it? Is it just I heard that I'm going to be healthier? What type of health do you want? Mental health? Do you want to improve your gut health? Do you want to improve how you operate values-wise? Because values, when you value yourself, you show up to that gym session.
Yeah.
Especially if you've got family, even more so. You'll live longer and stronger with your family. Is that not value to yourself? So knowing your why, then tomorrow morning when it's raining and my feet hit the ground and I say 5 a.m. at that gym, 4:30 the alarm goes off, and I walk out of that bed, and this might sound full on to a lot of people, but I'm walking into the Colosseum in Rome, and I'm like, watch what happens with me and this warrior. Who's going to win this fight? And because the warrior is, this is up here, this is a war every day. Oh, it's raining, it's comfortable. You could do this tomorrow. Practice the faith later on. Who cares? Who cares? Well, I care for myself. Self-respect, self-love, self-worth. And that means something to me. Integrity is everything. So guess what? It's time to go to the gym. I know why I'm going. I've got everything prepped and ready. I'm not stalling for time. I show up. I'm meant to meet my trainer at 5. I'll be there at 4:45. Why? Not for him, but for me. And when you do and you practice and you give yourself, I call them daily deposits to your bank account, and your bank account is you.
You've paid your dues.
You paid your dues. And how do you feel after you've gone to prayer? How do you feel? Like the connection, I believe in myself. If you do it long enough and you practice it long enough, you strengthen your belief in something to the point where you say, I can do anything.
You feel almost invincible.
Absolutely. And the invincible came from the faith within your religion. And that goes into, I built confidence that I'll show up for myself. So when you do I've got a business idea.
Yeah.
If you have not shown up, you don't go to those gym sessions at 5 a.m., guess what's going to happen at your business? I've got this great idea. And you'll tell me, we're at a barbecue at the backyard of your birthday. Oh, that's a great idea. I think you could do that. Have you seen this app? Have you seen this, thing that you could do for your business to launch your business? That's great. I'm going to take it. And then they go and they just live their same life, forget.
Yeah.
Next year, conversation of convenience again. Mustafa, what's happening, brother? I'm going to do that business. Oh, didn't you say that last year? Have you done it? Have you started? No, I haven't. Why not? We overthink things. So I'm going to give you a little tip. 99.9% rule. Write out 10 experiences of life. So the next time I think I'm going to the mosque with yourself, the next time I go to the gym, I go to a job interview, write out what you're thinking about at the time. I don't know if I can fit in here, I'm fit enough or strong enough. What's going to happen during this job interview? Am I dressed right? Is there something on my clothing like I just found, right? As an example, literally. And when you get to that level, you say, I'm not good enough. I don't think.
Self-doubt.
So all these questions, we all get it. Yeah. Just so you're clear, I get it, everyone gets it. It comes up in my head, but it stays there for a micro moment.
You crush it.
I'm the warrior. I'm going into Colosseum and I know who I am and I know how I've built myself. So you practice your faith every day. You're a man of faith. You're strong and you are confident in that conversation. When you're not confident, you didn't practice that. So what I mean by that, going back to that conversation, to change that, you write out what you thought about. Oh, I'm not good enough. Is my hair right? Can I fit in? I don't know how to use the equipment. What's the flip side to what actually happened when you walked in the gym? Hi, welcome to our gym. Mustafa, how can I help you? What I'll do is I'll put you in contact. Here's Jeff. He's a personal trainer. He'd love to help you write out a plan. What do you want to get out of life? Or the gym, the gym sessions, or you visit. What's the reason why you join this gym? And you can take you through this process. They take you through that process and you walk out and go, everything I thought was just, crazy. And you can write that same thing out on this side, compare both experiences, so 10 different experiences, and you realize 99.9% of the time you were just overthinking things. And now, from the 11th experience on, you say, I recognize that I'm going to overthink, but it's just how my brain functions based on what's in my invisible backpack from my past experiences. What I'm going to do is take that out, and I'm going to deal with that right here, right now, so this doesn't weigh me down anymore in life. And it might be a little experience, 5 kilos. Breakup, 10 kilos. Someone passing in your family, 20 kilos. And if you don't unpack that and say, I'm grateful for life, I'm blessed to have this life, I'm going to cherish this moment, what you'll do is you'll let this weigh you down and say, I've lost somebody and my life's over. Rather than saying, you know what, that loss for my brother this year from lung cancer makes me realise that I'm blessed to have healthy lungs, and I'm blessed for the life that I have. Thank you to us as Dreamtime for Aboriginal people, and I'll cherish every single moment of that. And if we believe in the Dreamtime, why is Islam wrong? Why is that religion wrong? It's not. It's what you choose to commit to, and make sure you practice that every single day.
You spoke about a lot of self-talk, whether it was positive self-talk and negative self-talk, and it's as simple as lining up to take the penalty kick.
Absolutely.
In an amateur, let's say not even a professional, an amateur soccer game, if you're going to say, I'm going to miss it, the goalkeeper's better, I'm going to miss it, compared to I am confident, even if I miss, it's not over. I need to shoot. I will shoot in that direction. I want to try my best. I can do it. I can do it. Removing the T and the apostrophe.
Absolutely.
And telling yourself that you can.
Goes back to those two things. If you've practiced it, you have the lived experience, you kept doing it, you build confidence. If you educate yourself on how to kick a ball, which means same thing, whether it's practice, whether you're around Ronaldo or Messi or something of that nature, if you're playing soccer, then you're going to, if you're in that space and you block yourself from someone of faith, if it's faith, or someone in football or soccer, as they call it here in Australia, you're blocking an opportunity to grow into a better individual. I call it LGP, learn, grow, prosper. What did you learn? How did you grow? How did you prosper from it? So if Messi's in, he says, when I strike, here's how I strike. I'll come in fast, last moment, goalkeeper dives, I'll just turn my foot and I point it in the right direction. Now I've got the highest level of outcome from the greatest player in the world. But what happens in society is our ego and our pride gets in the way. And I go, who are you to tell me, Messi? You don't control me. And this is how I do it. I'll sit here. I see them at conferences or stuff we do. Most are receptive. But because we've been through that experience that's now in our invisible backpack, which we haven't unpacked, I want to control this situation. So Mustafa's not telling me how to take this penalty kick. Even though Mustafa's the greatest player that ever played in soccer, bro, I know how to take a penalty. Don't tell me how to. I got it. And I missed a penalty and we lose the World Cup for it. And it's happened. I've seen it happen at high levels of sport, life, business. And it's because we just block out and want to control the situation rather than saying, he was the greatest penalty taker of all time. How do you take your penalties? And I'm your teammate and I'm listening, I'm learning, I'm earning. Now I practice it, which builds confidence. And my lived experience by taking penalties constantly make me the next best penalty taker until I overtake yourself.
You're constantly on the journey of learning.
If you're not, you're losing. Period. If you are not in a room where you are always the smartest person, you are doing damage to your own self, which means I'll go into a room and when I say that, I don't mean I'm the dumbest person in that room.
Yeah.
I'm just not. Maybe they're all millionaires if it was a money thing.
Yeah.
And I've just started my journey. Maybe it's people of faith who have been practicing for years, but I'm just starting my journey. Oh no, he knows every verse of the Quran. Well, that's great, but I've just committed now. And 10 years ago, if I asked you the same question, what was verse 1 or whatever it may have been, and I mean that respectfully because I don't know the religion.
No, of course.
I will learn it. But in general, people they'll block that out and they'll compare themselves to you. You've been doing it for 10 years. You know all the verses. I don't. So therefore, I'm not good enough and I shouldn't walk through this mosque tomorrow. And that's where we'll lose in life. Humbleness comes when you just say, I just want to learn from me. And the right people will say, hey, welcome, brother. Come sit and
learn.
Yeah. Oh, how can we do this? Why do we do that? And it won't be a narrative of, I'm going to change what was written here as the facts and make it my narrative. Oh, you do this because we do it to be, we're tough on the streets or whatever it is that you've changed what was in here and it was a totally different version or narrative. It's how we follow something that has created the values of us as an individual that make us a better person.
When you mentioned earlier financial freedom, you have two camps of people, those who believe it's a myth and those who really believe in financial freedom. And we're talking about reaching financial freedom the right way with the right values.
Great ethics, love that.
Yeah. So because those skeptics might say, and I'm far from financial freedom, but based on my experience and what I've learned, they say, oh, he's only financially free because he did the wrong thing, or he invested in the wrong thing, or you don't know, but what he really did was sell drugs, for example. That's how he became financially free, and now he's preaching about financial freedom.
Absolutely.
But from your experience and regarding financial freedom, can you elaborate on that?
There's a lot of I'd say it's complex, but I'd say this: if you go to Dubai versus Australia, it's two totally different worlds, mindsets, values. Like there was a bloke that drove through that desert 50 years ago, which was the Sheikh's father, and said, we're going to build a city right here. And everyone, imagine what people would have said. Oh, all right, mate. They would have thought he was on drugs, literally. Is he taking some drugs? Where's he going to put the buildings on the sand? Oh, now we're going to build the palm. We're going to build a palm out on water. All right, mate, no problem. She's still smoking those drugs. True, right? Yeah. If you're and unfortunately in Australia, we have tall poppy syndrome. The fact that we've even got that word tells you a lot about our country. When you go to Dubai, I'm not joking, I love Dubai. I'll sit there and every single person I sit with says, what are your dreams? Oh, I can connect you with so-and-so. I can connect you with this. And as you know, with faith, it's about how you can help one another, just be everything you can be. And if you end up in a better position than I did, I want you to win. And if your level of winning is more peace of mind than mine, and I started before yourself, some people pick it up quicker than others. So you've got to be able to say, how do we share knowledge? As Aboriginal people, we passed on a message stick, and that message stick had knowledge on the stick. We actually hear from one tribe to the other. We get fish, you get kangaroo. Let's exchange that and have better outcomes for our people. And how do you fish back in the day? People wouldn't even know how we caught fish. You didn't have fishing lines. Well, we did. We carved things out of particular things that allowed us to live and be sustainable, but not only survive, thrive within that environment. We were engineers. We were, these particular things. But if I look at Dubai and I look at Sydney, you tell someone, I'm going to start a business, and they go, that's hard.
Here?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Or don't do it.
That's hard. Oh, and you get to choose your heart here in Australia. Oh. You can be, let's say it was my thing, and I said, Mustafa, make sure the report's ready, right? And some people will treat you like that. I've heard it many times within organisations, hence why we do leadership within organisations, because people are built with their values where they think helping somebody is telling you, oh, Mustafa, you do it my way or the highway or you're out, rather than saying, what's the best vision and for the best interest of the company and our mental health and well-being, and how can we get to that solution as fast as we can? Mm-hmm. When you do that and operate from that level, now you're operating where Dubai and Sydney are two totally different cities. You go to Dubai, there's tallest. They 10x'd everything in the world. So if they had a garden, they 10x'd the garden. There's an airplane in the garden, big bushes are shaped like horses and animals, and it just blows. Like, you look it up, the magical garden over there, it is insane. The highways are extra wide. The cars that you go out to normal suburbs are Ferraris, Lamborghinis, like these cars that, out in Liverpool or out in areas of Australia that aren't meant to be there, they're everywhere because it became a normal way to operate. And instead of saying, I'm not going to tell you, Mustafa, what I'm doing, you find out yourself over 10 years.
Wow.
I get over them, the discussions are of such high value that imagine if you did that with your faith and you sat with I'm new to it, and a group of men are sitting around myself and they're saying, hey, Jeff, here's the values of Islam, and here's why, and I'm listening, I'm learning, I'm earning that. How long would it take me to really learn the faith quickly? But if I say, hey, don't tell me, I'll learn my way, don't tell me what to do more stuff, which is what we do here in Australia quite a lot.
And that's tall poppy syndrome?
100%. We're going to shut ourselves down, and for 10 years, we'll learn, but we'll go the long way. So I ask everybody on here as an example, if you could take a path of least resistance that is geared behind your passion, that creates that financial freedom, inner peace, happiness, success for your family, whatever that definition
That's
of
right.
you is, and it could be money, it could be time together, it could be more food for yourself, gratitude for what you have, then what is that worth to you? It's priceless, right? And when we the definition of priceless, you couldn't put a monetary value on it. So why don't we do that? We get into the wrong environments. You won't do that. It's hard. You're starting a podcast. Bro, who do you think you are? Joe Rogan. And you'll see that, right?
Yeah.
And then I look at someone like Spanian. And Spanian's kebabs at the moment.
Yeah.
I talk about him a lot because I want people to know to go from what he went from. And I mean this nicely to Spanian. I've got nothing but love for seeing him win or seeing humans win. Could he develop more? 100%. Is he committed to that? I hope so for his sake. But seeing him develop from 1 van to 2 vans and create the financial freedom to travel the world and bring what he loves doing into the hood or whatever it is to the rest of people, great. Could he learn other things in between? I'm sure he has and will. And I'm sure some of those experiences, lessons become blessings because you think that's how it might be. But in the journey, it might hurt him emotionally, spiritually, culturally, which means how you're built as an individual. But I wish him all the best. And, I want to see him win and get, I think he could have 20 vans just in New South Wales.
Wow.
And expand elsewhere. Like I said, the next one would be in Campbelltown. It's a Spaniard, I'm putting it out there, just as a guess. But I'd love to see him do that and then not damage himself by not caring about other people. When I say that, it's important you have respect for other people, but in business, it's important that you don't care what other people think. And he does that really well.
Because they criticised him about the bread that he used.
It's not a kebab, and he's done videos on it. Yeah. Our biggest thing is once we understand that, and he doesn't care what people think of him, he's got to. When you get to that level, I don't even need to explain whether it's a kebab or not. And when you get to that level, there's a saying, what someone says about you isn't your business, but I expand on that and say how you respond is the awareness of yourself. And if you're aware of who you are, do you need to tell people that you're practicing a particular faith? You just do it. And then people can either align and say, he's a beautiful man who's respectful, has great morals, and I'd love to have coffee, eat food, talk business, or he's disrespectful to other people. It's not my person, and I still clap and wish you all the best, but it's just not my environment.
Cup of tea, not my environment.
And I think Spaniard's done that well in some elements, but I know it will cause him friction in other elements. And I use Spaniard because a lot of people know who he is. So he'll have to put videos out or come out sometimes
to justify
it. So if he gets to the level where he says, I don't even care what you say, because in the end, any business is good business. So what I mean by that, I'm going to review Spaniards. I went there. I'm going to review what's this Spaniard? This ain't a kebab. Kebab's this. And we'll only know the ceiling of our knowledge, the information and education we can then put back out to the world. So we will talk kebabs with this, but if you go overseas, kebabs with that. And whether that's in that country versus that country, it's a definition and a perception based on the individual. So we're like, who cares if it's on one type of bread or another? To be validated, I'm going to do a food review and hope everyone likes my posts. And I'll use Spaniard as my stepping stone. I just don't need that because it's not my journey. I'll go there and I'll taste it myself and I'll keep my opinion to myself. And the only thing I will say is great work, Spaniard, for launching something. Going from drugs in a cell to where he is today, people don't give that enough value. And what would you... I tell you why we do that, because we don't do it to ourselves. Clap yourself more often. Celebrate your wins. We celebrate your birthday. Celebrate you making a better choice. Celebrate the good food that you put in your mouth. Celebrate the fact that you got food and other people don't. Celebrate that you wake up tomorrow here in Australia and you don't have to hear an air raid siren, even if there is one in your country, because something's going over your head and it might be the last moments of your life. Celebrate it.
Speaking of living in a country like that, as you know, Lebanon currently is under siege.
Crazy.
Similar to Palestine. Well, not similar to Palestine because there's a genocide in Palestine. But in terms of the infiltration into the country, my sister actually moved with her husband back or to Lebanon to try living there. And I wouldn't say they're financially free, but financially they have the ability currently to have a business here and live and raise their kids in our home country.
Beautiful.
Now, after nearly a year of living there, now they're forced with needing to make the decision to relocate to here. So look at the mindset. Their kids went from living in Australia with all the luxuries and all the endowments and always having light on, always having water on. Then they went to Tripoli in Lebanon, beautiful country, beautiful state, but the electricity only works 18 hours of the day.
People don't realise that, eh?
Yeah.
And what we focus on what we don't have or what we didn't do rather than what we already have. And as an Aboriginal man, I can say that I'm abundant and rich. And people are like, oh, so you got heaps of money? I heard Bob Marley say this once, and he goes, define rich. And is it your thoughts? Is it your behaviours? Is it your circles? Is it your faith? What is it that you practice? How much richness is in your faith? It is priceless because it teaches you values to make sure you protect your space. And those at that highest level in that space where they honour that religion, beautiful. And I've got nothing but respect for the people of that nature. People don't realise how lucky Australia is at times. And so, as you said, the power's on for X amount of hours, or sometimes the running water or the toilets that you have, or, you know, I've seen...
Quality of the water.
Quality of life, water, like all of these things that we just take for granted, and we'll complain.
You will complain.
My tap's running a little bit or something of that nature, rather than actually saying I'm abundant and rich already. The sun, the waterways, the birds chirping outside there.
That's right.
I can hear when somebody else can't hear those birds.
Wow.
How much would they pay me to hear that?
The mindset.
I've seen, the earpiece being put on for the first time to people on social media, and they cry because they wish they had heard that since they were 12. They may be 22, and from the ages of when they were born. They never heard it. In 22 years, they've gone without sound, and now they hear the birds, and they're like, did I just hear? And the tears flow.
Gratefulness.
Be grateful, man. And like people talk about, I'm gratitude, and then say, how terrible is the traffic. I'm blessed to be alive, and thank you for teaching me patience. So reframe your sentences, and you'll reframe your brain to be insane. And what that means is you're operating from a level of the highest enlightenment of I'm blessed by this life I already have.
Look, we can go on and on. Just before we finish, you spoke about tall poppy syndrome, and it is so true. I think you hit the nail on its head. You smacked it actually right in, because you find that most groups of people, when one particular person wants to start something, like my friend started a business. We were in the same industry together. Then he said, I'm going to do this. As a joke, I said to him, he started the website within the business. I told him, how much are you making? After a couple of months, he said, I'm making $5 a week. And he's my best mate. I laughed and I said, after all that work, you're making $5 a week? And then he looked at me and he said, one day, that's where his vision was. I'm going to make $50,000 a week or $10,000 a week. 5 years later, I still tell him, remember when I used to tell you $5.50 was made in your account from the website, not the business? And now, for example, I'll tell him, how much did you make this week? And he'll smile. A lot of hard work. He'd say, I made $12,000 this week, probably profit $8,000, but very casually. So it's a real thing, even in banter.
Absolutely. What you tell yourself, you become. Understand that. So I'll give you an example. You've got to do things where you can't see something. Faith's a great example of that. You're praying to what you can't see in hope that you'll go to somewhere at the end or during that journey of life to be so grateful and at peace within yourself. And to do that, we have to have a belief and faith that no matter what we do, we just got to keep going forward. So there'd be days when I started, I'd send out 200 emails to organisations. Here's what I do. Here's what I can do. And I was so driven. Why won't they hear me? Why? And same thing, people said, it's hard, Jeff. You know, it's very hard. And they came for the journey and they got off the bus. And I kept going. Greatest story around this is Facebook. If anyone doesn't know the Facebook story, Zuckerberg says, all of us come into the room. He's with us. He's mates with us too. I say I'll go in the room. You say, you're dreaming, brother. That won't work. That's what happened if anyone doesn't know the Facebook story. The men that went into the room, every one of them became billionaires. The men that stepped out took them to court to try and get the billion as well. So when I say billion, whatever money they could get their hands on. Yeah. And the court ruled, as far as I know, and it hasn't changed, but you can correct me if I'm wrong, they ruled against those men and said you didn't step in the room. You said you wanted nothing to do with it. As much as you might have discussed it at the start, you didn't follow through. You walked away and you didn't make a commitment to. Imagine, and when I say money, imagine what that would mean in faith or respect or values. Because if you don't have that highest level of value, now you invite people in that disrespect you, your faith, your goals. Oh, you're going to start a business. Good luck with that. You're not going to make it. How much you making? $5 a week. Give up, brother. So I stayed on that bus, and so many people say, I wish I started the business at the same time as you, and it was tough. And I said, yeah, it was tough. But you know what? It taught me so many lessons. But when I say, yeah, it was tough, I say it to them because they've said it. I won't use the word tough. I just say it taught me a lot of lessons that helped me grow through the opportunities that it brought to myself. And I reframe the sentence. If you use this, I promise you, you do it, send me a message how it helped you. But it does. You believe in yourself. And the more I come to prayer, the more I believe that I'm a man of faith.
One particular person regarding that point in believing yourself, he had a marathon discussion with me when I first started this journey. And we're involved together through a particular capacity. And he told me, that's tall poppy syndrome. Were you just bored that you just decided to do the Chronicles of Faith? It's because you're bored. It's said in a demeaning way. I can only take it like that. I said, no, I wasn't just bored. It's something I believe in.
I love that.
I believe in this vision and I'm going to stick to it. He said, for how long? Because the expectation is you start and walk away like what
Absolutely.
You said. I said, for as long as I'm alive.
I love that. If I say, I don't know, see how it goes, what have I just done?
Goosebumps. That's a mic drop.
I just go, I go, maybe you're right, sort of, kind of. See what happens. If I say until my last breath, I can guarantee if that was your family that you're fighting for, then, or yourself, because it starts with you. Oxygen mask comes down. Anyone that's been on a plane, make sure you put it on yourself before you help your little kid next to you. And you're like, what are you talking about? I put it on my kid. You both perish. Period, right? So put it on yourself first. Save yourself. What's your passion? What's your why to your life? Passion. So you're like, I love my faith. I want to bring some magic to the world. Here's what I do. And we were just talking about another bloke who had a podcast studio. He's now renting that studio out. And right now, it probably isn't where his level would like it to be. But I can guarantee in 5 years' time, if he keeps going and he builds 4 different podcast rooms, so you can change the type of settings running 4 different podcasts. I know in Dubai when we went and we did podcasts there as an example, there was 4 different rooms and there was people in every one of those rooms all day, every day. And I know how much the investment was. I sat there, done the maths and went, because of their passion, this is what they're making. And they've had to buy all the stuff, but now it's bought.
That's
now
right.
You've paid it back. And now every single day you're making $10,000 because of your passion.
That's right.
And everyone's like, I should have done what you done. I could have done that.
Yeah.
Well, you could have, should have, would have, gonna. My father always said that, be a doer and just take the action. And right now you might not even be making zero from it. You might not get anything from it. But then someone says, hey, I'd love to sponsor your podcast. How are you surviving? I do my best here, there and everywhere. How about we give you $1,000 a week as an example? And you're like, are you for real? And, yeah, absolutely. 52,000 sponsorship every year. We love what you do and what you're about. The right person at the right time will see the right
the right people at the right time came to me when I started this journey. They were that excited. and they offered a level of sponsorship.
Love that.
To kick off the podcast.
How good's that?
It's true to what you said. And I had a friend who actually started now a business in Dubai, and he comes here, goes there, and he said exactly what you said. He even told me his mentality shifted. He wasn't like this originally when he first went. I know this guy, Lovely man, but in terms of the tall poppy syndrome, it's as if it got deleted from him once he came back.
Absolutely.
And the first thing he told me, you started podcasting. He reached out his arm and he said, if you go there now with everything you've done already, and I'm still here, he said people will jump on you like crazy, and you can just live there full time.
Great, literally.
Yeah,
you did that in Dubai.
Yeah, that's what he said.
Created a podcast studio. This studio was packed out, so I'm tipping that if you can't get into this studio, you look up another one. And for us, there was a few there, but this podcast studio was back to back, all 4 rooms packed. And we did 4 podcasts, longer podcasts, hour and a half each one. And every single time we came out, all 4 people went into each room.
Wow.
And imagine, and I know what they were making because we paid it and passed it. And then they had like, do you want us to edit or add your logos?
Yeah, that's
or this, that?
Extras.
And so be it, because they invested in it. They provide a professional look. Or you could do it behind curtains here, and like there's light coming through. You can't see our faces. There's no lightings. I love what you've done with this.
Thank you.
And people got to understand that you all got to start somewhere. But people go, I don't want to invite him to my house because there's a curtain here or a thing there, or it's not a podcast studio as such.
Commercial
rather
studio.
Than saying, commercial studio, rather than saying, I'm proud of what I've done, man, and I had nothing, and I've built this, and I've learned how to do it and launch that myself. Celebrate that. And your friends, if you're a friend of someone, clap him, share his post. People who don't share your post, it blows me away. That shows you the level of, your podcast's great, mate. Well, hit share. It's for free. And if my podcast's so great, why wouldn't you share your friend's thing? Share. Costs how much? $0. And you're that person's friend. I don't think you're a friend. I think you're an acquaintance looking for some value that you can give me. Give me. We live in a give me society. Be a different person. Actually just be there for the sake of providing value to each other.
I'm going to snip at that one.
Dubai versus Sydney, that is the difference. You go to Dubai, everyone doesn't want, they'll give. Before they give with no intent, you owe me. Yeah, his knowledge, his value, his presence, his love, his respect, his education. How much do I owe you, brother? You owe me nothing. Yeah, and especially those that come from Australia to there. And as you said, he came back. It just changes you.
Yeah, it changes.
Dubai's a total.
And he hooked me up with someone that's a fitness enthusiast there to do a pod with him. Now, I thought, all right, when he hooks me up, I'll message him. He won't respond. He's got like 200,000 followers. I hit him up. He responded, and he was ready to do a pod then and there. I told him, brother, I'm so sorry. I haven't done a remote pods. I've only done pods face-to-face.
Yeah.
He's like, no problem, brother. Once you figure out how to do a remote pod, hook me up. We'll set a time, and we'll do a pod together, Dubai and Australia.
Love that. Here's the thing about Dubai I found. People just want everyone to win.
Wow.
So if you've got 1 million followers, 3 million, 10 million, they'll talk to you. You do that here.
No way.
And they're like, how many followers you got, bro? Oh, what? 1,000? Huh. And it's like, you're not good enough for my space, rather than saying, how could I help you build your podcast? Because what will happen, by the time I teach you how to build a great podcast, I teach you 50 things. What have I learned in that process? Because you should be committed to learning and earning and growing yourself. By the time I teach you 50, I've got 150. Now I teach you the next 50, now I've got another 150. And guess what I'm doing? I'm adding value to your life. I don't want anything. But then you say, hey, Jeff, I got a bloke he's seen your podcast. I told him, and he wants to sponsor you and pay you $5,000 a week. And I'm like, wow, I didn't expect that, brother. But I didn't do it for, I hope your friend sponsors me because I know he's got money. 8,000, sponsor me 5,000, brother. I did it because I just wanted to see us win as human beings. There's a word, mellorism, and it's about how through human effort we can make the world a better place. I'm remembering the words now. I've got to go back and anyway, we'll get to that position where we will be a better place when we surround ourselves with the right people in the right environment.
I'll give you my word, and I'll tell you this, that one day, and not far away, we'll be doing a podcast together on the Chronicles of Faith, in Dubai in a studio.
Love that. And I'll travel to Dubai to do that. I'm that type of person.
Yeah.
And people ask me to come and they're like, really? You'd come on my podcast? And I'm like, what did you expect? And they said, other people said no.
I hit up someone today. I reached out to him, and it goes back to that point you just made about the followers. He has about 100,000, so it's not like he has 1 million followers. I said, I'd love to get you on my show. You know what he said? For all inquiries, reach out to XX email, which is fine. Then he said, and please send through your viewership statistics. You know, as soon as I read that, I did X.
Yeah.
Even if you're going to get me 1 million followers through collaborating,
absolutely,
I don't want you on my show.
Here's the funny thing, and I'll tell a story around this, right? I've been on podcasts where they've had 100 followers, as an example. The person's trying to be better. I step into their space. That person, through that conversation, had big connections. And I didn't know. I didn't care. I just said, yeah, all right, let's share some value to the world, make the world a better place. And he says, my friend's so-and-so, and I'm going to connect you. That one connection brought me 20 major contracts in my organization or business company, whatever you want to call it, right? And I didn't ask for it. I just went there with no intentions but to make the world a better place. He said, bro, you're a beautiful human. I've got this bloke I'd love to connect you with. And I just thought, oh, yeah, no worries. Touch base. Hey, how are you? I'm touching base. So-and-so's put us in contact. Hey, mate, I know X, I know Y. These people could do with your business. These people. Those connections that I made, they changed the course of my life. They created financial freedom on top of financial freedom, right? So I already had it, but those people created that financial freedom to me to the point where I was able to then live a very comfortable life. Why? Because I gave a person who had 100 followers no form of judgment as another human being, which we do. Oh, why are you wearing that? Are you? Oh, you're Muslim. Like, for what reason do we do that? Ask yourself, why do you do that? Because I just meet Mustafa, and if he's a great human being, that's it. And then the only time I get to him is if he tells me I'm Muslim and I'm meant to pray at this time, and I'm like, aren't you meant to pray in 5 minutes? But you said you're going for a hamburger. Like, what faith are you committed to your faith? Because I want to see him win, not because I'm being,
Disingenuous.
I just been genuine in the approach of, hey, brother, you said you were going to be. Why do I do that? Because if he's my friend and I let him enable bad behaviour, when he's in my space, he's going to have bad behaviour. Maybe he won't show up to me. Maybe he'll try and sleep with my partner to that level. Because if he don't respect himself, do you think he respects anything else?
And that point is real at the moment, because all sorts are going out there at the moment with the way life's heading. With people's values these days,
I know that, and I've made videos on this, men not being as strong as they used to be. We talked about that before. I wonder what the next generation and the generation after are going to be like. The time to sit and look at a video and listen to the end of a video, there's a little tip. Challenge yourself today to watch. If it's my video and it's 1 minute, don't turn off at 5 seconds. Not because it's me, but what value did it bring to me?
That's right.
I call it the VB. I'll get you to remember it in Australia. The VB of the value and benefit will this video bring me? I'm listening, I'm learning. Oh, Mustafa told me is about being committed to yourself. What am I doing to commit to myself? Oh, nothing. So I'm going to do, maybe it is religion, maybe it's the gym, maybe it's showing up on time. Integrity becomes a part of who I am. My word is my bond. What's that? Work to yourself. Priceless. Let's practice that. What we'll do is we'll scroll and go, oh, look at the cat running into the door again. How good is this? I'm not telling you not to have balance and enjoy your life. Course. But if your life you consume with that, but you want to travel more, you want to be more connected to yourself, you want to get more out of life, and you're crying about not doing that because you're watching the cat videos, that's where the imbalance comes, and that's a problem. If you got balance and you're doing well in your life and you want to watch the cat video when you're sitting in bed at night and have a laugh before bed, go for gold. That's it. But if that's consuming your life, and now I've got to borrow money off you because I didn't work this week because the cat videos were great to myself.
Mindlessly scrolling.
Spend more time on yourself than you do the scroll time. So have a look at your screen time, and you can do that on your phone if you don't know that. And what will happen is you go, wow, 8 hours. I've invested in scrolling, and sometimes I've had people that tell me 8 hours a day. I'm not even joking.
A day?
It blows me away. How much time are you giving to yourself? Oh, none really, other than the scrolling. And I think it makes me feel good when I see the cat, the dog, the Mustafa run into the window, you know. What if you spent 8 hours on your business? And when I say your business is you.
That's right.
That's where it starts, and then you roll off into business. People want to start a business, but they don't have the discipline within yourself. Don't worry about the business. Build yourself first. Work harder on yourself than you do your job. Work harder on yourself than you charge your phone, or charge yourself more than you charge your phone, and guess what you're going to get in life? A magical one at that.
I think the way you just ended this pod actually sums up this whole conversation.
Love that.
And Jeffrey, I thank you for joining the Chronicles of Faith. Until next time, whether it's a show or episode in Dubai or again in our studios.
I'll hold you to that, man.
I know you will, because you hold people accountable.
Absolutely. Even if it's you going to the gym or anybody, if you come into my space too, and I've got a lot of people that come into that space, and you message me, look, it might get to a level where I can't do that, and that's the reality, because it is hard to get back to everyone. But I do my utmost best to those that actually try, and I say, and I might put us all into a group and, hey, everyone, if you got your thing, put it in here and stay accountable to yourself, because it just becomes too hard to manage. That's just right. Reality. It's like doing a concert and you're the only security guard with 10,000 people. You're going to have a problem.
Yeah.
So you've got to understand, sometimes I can only do to the level of my capacity until it overflows and the water goes on the ground. Understand that conversation for yourself, and you'll live a better way of life. Know that you aren't anybody until you are you, and that means you've got to build into you. Don't worry about everybody else. I'm going to fix Mustafa. No, don't fix yourself. Build strength into yourself. Grab every opportunity so you become the highest version of yourself. You're worth it.
I think you summed it up. You're worth it, and thank you for coming. It was worth having you on.
See you in Dubai.
See you then.